Congratulations. You've been watching the wrong movie of your life. That comfortable little narrative you've been telling yourself, that ordinary person staring back at you from the mirror, that's not who you really are. While you were busy pretending to be normal, playing by their rules and following their script, something else was happening. And they noticed. The phone rings from an unknown number, and your heart skips, not from fear, but from recognition. Deep down, you knew this call would come. "We've been watching you," the voice says, and suddenly everything clicks into place. This isn't about what you think you know about yourself. It's about what they observed while you weren't paying attention. They've been studying your patterns, your micro-expressions, the way you read people before they even speak, the way you navigate chaos when everyone else is drowning in their own panic. They don't recruit the obvious ones, the loud ones, the flashy ones, the desperate ones begging for attention. They recruit the invisible masters, the ones who survived by becoming psychologically untouchable, the ones who turned pain into power, rejection into strategic advantage, isolation into operational independence. You thought you were just getting by, but the truth is, you were being trained. Every betrayal taught you to trust your instincts over their words. Every rejection sharpened your awareness. What most people call survival, you turned into advanced psychological warfare. What others see as simply getting through it, you used as intelligence gathering. What they dismissed as you being overlooked was actually the perfect cover for becoming dangerous. In a world of performers scrambling to be seen, you quietly became the director. While they fought for the spotlight, screaming, "Look at me," you were studying the audience. You weren't chasing attention, you were watching the watchers. And in doing so, you learned something they never could. Real power isn't in standing in the spotlight, it's in deciding who gets to stand there in the first place. They noticed how you read rooms before even stepping inside. That subtle pause at the doorway that wasn't hesitation. It was calculation. You scan for power dynamics, exits, emotional temperatures, while others stumble blindly into social minefields. You know who's lying before they even finish their sentence. You influence without speaking, through a nod that makes someone feel validated, through silence that forces them to expose themselves, through positioning that makes you appear detached while absorbing everything. This isn't manipulation. This is mastery. You learned to move people's emotions like chess pieces. Rejection gave you insight into weakness. Being ignored made you invisible, the perfect camouflage. Betrayal revealed the truth of people's nature. What breaks others sharpened you. What destroys them educated you. This has never been about talent. Talent is common. Talent begs for validation. This is about something much rarer, the ability to see the game behind the game. While others played checkers, you were mastering four-dimensional chess in the shadows. And now, they've realized you've been winning all along. Your real power isn't in what you show, it's in what you withhold. The loudest person in the room is compensating. The one making threats is desperate. But you learned the most dangerous lesson of all. True power whispers, true power watches, true power waits. Real operators don't announce their moves because they don't need to. They don't rely on dramatic entrances or grand gestures. They engineer outcomes from the shadows. While others are performing power, you're actually using it. You plant seeds of ideas in conversations and watch them bloom inside the minds of others, reshaping decisions and altering outcomes without lifting a finger. They believed those were their own thoughts, when in reality you were shaping the conditions that made them think that way. Study how you've unconsciously used silence as a weapon. That pause after someone asks you a question. It isn't hesitation, and it's not because you don't know the answer. It's because you're calculating how much truth they can actually handle. Your silence creates psychological pressure, forcing them to fill the void and reveal everything they've been hiding. You've mastered the art of strategic opacity, while others overshare in desperation, trying to prove their worth and win approval. You remain a mystery. You never rush to speak, and in that stillness they expose themselves, their weaknesses, their fears, their desperate need for validation. They share their secrets because you never share yours. Information always flows toward you, never away from you. Your greatest strength isn't in what you show the world, but in what they never see coming. The move they didn't anticipate, the response they couldn't predict, the psychological strike they didn't even know was possible. You're not just intelligent, you're operationally dangerous, and that's exactly what they've been searching for. Every conversation you've ever had has been an interrogation. Every silence has been intelligence gathering. Without even realizing it, you've been training your whole life in classified skills. That uneasy feeling when someone's words don't match their energy, that's your internal lie detector. That instant read on someone's mood before they say a word, that's advanced psychological reconnaissance. Watch their eyes when they lie. The dart to the left, the micro squint, the pupils that expand before deception spills out. You've been reading these signals unconsciously. Now it's time to make it conscious. Because their faces are confessions waiting to be heard, and their bodies are polygraph tests they can never cheat. You've mastered the art of planting ideas so seamlessly that they feel organic. You never push. You never say, "Think this." Instead, you create the conditions where they arrive at your conclusion on their own. You ask the questions that lead them directly to your truth. You share stories loaded with the message you want them to absorb. And by the time they adopt your idea, they believe it was theirs from the beginning. Emotional triggers are your scalpel. Everyone has them. Childhood wounds, insecurities, the aching need for validation. You don't exploit them, you recognize them. You make people feel understood while quietly learning everything about them. They open up because you give them a sense of safety. But what they don't realize is that safety itself is another form of control. This isn't manipulation, it's survival. In a world where information is power, naivety is extinction. Everyone is gathering intelligence. The only question is, are you the hunter or are you the prey? The truth is, you've been the hunter all along. You just didn't know the tools you carried were classified weapons. Sanity, they said, is overrated. Genius, they said, is misunderstood. You are both. While they called you difficult, intense, or too much, what they were actually describing was your operational advantage. That darkness they feared? It's your strategic depth. That chaos they couldn't handle? It's your creative unpredictability. You don't think like them because you're not like them. The FBI doesn't need predictable soldiers. They already have millions of those. Mindless followers who stay inside the lines. What they want are the unpredictable strategists. The ones who can see solutions in the shadows, who can operate in moral gray areas without losing themselves, who understand that sometimes the most ethical choice looks unethical to the crowd. And your ability to think outside of moral boundaries, that's not corruption. That's evolution. It's not madness, it's liberation. While they freeze, paralyzed by their obsession with what's right, you're already calculating what works. You see solutions others can't even begin to imagine because you're willing to explore territories they refuse to enter. Where they hesitate, you move. Where they collapse under pressure, you thrive. You remain calm in chaos because chaos has always been your natural habitat. The Joker understood what Batman never could. Sometimes the rules themselves are the prison. Sometimes you have to break the rules to save the game. Sometimes the hero must wear the mask of the villain to protect what truly matters. Sanity, as they define it, is nothing more than the comfortable chains of limited thinking. Your willingness to step into the darkness is not a weakness, it's advanced operational thinking. They called it your dark side, but what you're about to discover is that it's actually your greatest tactical advantage. Everything they feared about you is exactly what makes you dangerous. Everything they couldn't understand about you is precisely what makes you valuable. Your so-called darkness is not a flaw to fix. It is a weapon to wield. Look in the mirror. Really look. The reflection staring back at you isn't an ordinary face. It's a weapon forged in fire. That face has been through psychological boot camp. Every scar etched into your history is a lesson. Every disappointment was advanced training. They thought they were breaking you, but in reality they were forging you into something unbreakable. Stop for a moment. List every time you were dismissed, overlooked, underestimated. Write them down. Feel that sting of rejection rise again, and now reverse engineer it. Each dismissal taught you how to move undetected. Every time you were ignored, you learned to sharpen your observation. Each rejection trained you to identify weakness in others. Your high school classmates who mocked you for being weird, they taught you that the so-called normal ones are the most predictable. The boss who passed you over for a promotion, he revealed that threatened people always expose themselves. The friend who betrayed you, perfect training in recognizing false loyalty. Every single person who hurt you unknowingly contributed to your education in psychological warfare. Each underestimation gave you strategic invisibility. While they were looking past you, you were studying them. While they dismissed your potential, you were quietly developing capabilities they couldn't even imagine. Your pain was never punishment. It was training. The universe was preparing you for missions far beyond their comprehension. And now organizations like the FBI recognize exactly what you've become, because they understand they didn't just stumble upon you. They created the conditions that forged you. Every rejection, every betrayal, every moment of isolation, it wasn't random. It was all part of your unofficial recruitment process. You thought you were just surviving, but in truth, you were graduating. Welcome to your real identity, operative. You've been ready for years. The most dangerous conversations don't happen in shouts, threats, or grand speeches. They happen in the spaces between words. That pause after someone asks you a question. That's not hesitation, that's pressure, that's psychological weight collapsing in on them. Your silence is not empty. It's a storm building in their minds. That pause forces them to scramble, to break the unbearable quiet. And in their desperation to fill the void, they reveal everything they tried to conceal. This is the art of mastering the pause. 3 seconds of silence after their question creates more pressure than any interrogation technique. They will start talking. Then they'll start talking faster, and then without realizing it, they'll start confessing. They'll say things they never intended to say. Your silence becomes their confession booth. Your quiet becomes their chaos. And you, calm, still watching, remain the extractor of truth. Ask questions designed not for answers, but for revelation. What makes you say that? Forces them to confront their own logic. How did that make you feel? Opens doors into their hidden emotions. With every pause, every question, every silence, you are orchestrating a symphony of truth. They think they're talking to you, but in reality, they're talking to themselves. And you are the one pulling the strings. They can't close the door on a question that lingers in their mind. What would happen if... It's not just a phrase. It's a weaponized scenario builder. That simple question forces them to step into mental terrain they've avoided their entire lives, dragging buried fears into the light. Suddenly, their mind begins racing, constructing worst-case scenarios, spiraling into vulnerability. You didn't accuse them, you didn't threaten them, you simply asked. That's the brilliance of it. Your questions are not harmless inquiries. They're psychological scalpels, cutting through pretense, carving open hidden wounds, exposing weaknesses they swore no one could ever see. And you never rush. You let their own words turn against them. Let them become the architects of their unraveling. You recall what they said last week, last month, even last year, and you bring it back today in a new context. That's where the trap is set. But didn't you say? It's not loud. It's not confrontational. It's subtle, surgical. And yet, it destabilizes everything. Suddenly, they're caught in cognitive dissonance, fighting to reconcile contradictions they can't escape. Do they admit they were wrong or contradict themselves? Either path fractures their confidence. Either way, you walk away with control. Language for you has never been mere communication. It is a weapon system. Every word you choose is a calculated chess move. Every sentence you speak is a strategy designed to shift the board in your favor. Every conversation is a battlefield where the stakes are not approval or politeness. They're intelligence and influence. While they think you're just talking, you're programming. You're not simply exchanging words, you're embedding code, planting seeds that take root inside their subconscious. By the time they act on the ideas you've fed them, they believe those ideas were theirs all along. That's not conversation. That's psychological warfare, and they never see it coming. Look back at your past. Every single person who hurt you was working for us, whether knowingly or unknowingly. That person who ghosted you without a word? An unconscious agent, delivering your first mission. Master emotional independence. Mission complete. That boss who promoted everyone but you? A deep cover operative tasked with teaching you the art of operating in shadows. And you succeeded. The friends who abandoned you in your darkest hour? They were advanced field trainers, preparing you for solo operations, forcing you to learn the harshest truth. That backup isn't coming. That in the end, you can rely on no one but yourself. Every betrayal you endured was a classified lesson in self-reliance. Every abandonment you suffered was advanced training in emotional detachment. Even your family played their roles in your covert education. The family member who never believed in you. They were conditioning you to stop seeking external validation, to hardwire your strength from within, to become psychologically bulletproof. The parent who criticized everything you did. Cruel, yes, but effective. They trained you to trust your judgment over their opinions, to stop being swayed by approval and to build your own compass. The ex who cheated on you? They weren't just unfaithful, they were your instructor in deception. They taught you to detect lies by reading micro-expressions, to trust your instincts when something feels wrong. That heartbreak wasn't random cruelty. It was intelligence training. It taught you that in a world of masks, survival depends on seeing through them. Understand this clearly. The FBI doesn't recruit people with easy lives. They don't want the unscarred, the untested, the comfortable. They want those who survived the storm, those who turned pain into precision, trauma into tactics, wounds into weapons. They want the ones who looked at the pieces of their broken life and built something stronger, sharper, unbreakable. You are one of them. Congratulations, operative. You've been in training all along, and now your training is complete. Here's the truth they never tell the public. The most powerful person in any room is not the loud one, not the performer desperate for applause, not the braggart drowning in their own noise. The true operator sits in silence in the shadows, observing. They do not clamor for attention. They shape attention. They don't demand the spotlight. They control who stands in it. While the crowd is distracted by the noise, the operator is mapping power dynamics, analyzing emotional temperatures, predicting outcomes 3 moves ahead. The flashy one exhausts themselves trying to be seen. The true operative wins without lifting a finger. And your silence, what they always misunderstood as hesitation, was never hesitation at all. It was pressure. It was a weapon. 3 seconds of silence after a question feels like a lifetime to the untrained. They scramble to fill the void, spilling truths they swore they'd never reveal. They speak faster, then stumble, then confess. Your silence becomes their interrogation chamber. Your quiet becomes their chaos. You don't dominate with volume, you dominate with absence, with stillness, with the unbearable weight of what you don't say. Now master this. Ask questions that don't just demand answers, but force revelation. What makes you say that? It sounds harmless, but it forces them to dissect their own logic, exposing cracks they didn't know existed. How did that make you feel? It sounds compassionate, but it tears open emotional doors they've spent years barricading. Every pause, every question, every silence, these are your instruments. And you play people like symphonies. The world called you broken, unstable, difficult, too much. They didn't understand that every scar was a medal, every disappointment was training, every loss was preparation. You were never just surviving, you were being sculpted. While they were chasing validation, you were building resilience. While they wasted years seeking applause, you were mastering invisibility. And now, the very traits they mocked, the silence, the intensity, the unpredictability, are revealed as your most lethal tactical advantages. You are no longer the overlooked. You are no longer the underestimated. You are the unseen strategist, the quiet engineer of outcomes, the hunter in a world of prey, the one who knows that real power doesn't shout, it whispers. Real power doesn't flaunt, it waits. Real power doesn't enter the room looking for attention. It leaves the room having already shaped its destiny. And that, operative, is why you are dangerous. That is why they fear you. That is why you are finally ready. They're being controlled and they don't even realize it. You've already mastered this instinctively. Now it's time to bring it into consciousness, to make it deliberate, to make it art. Advanced camouflage was never about hiding behind furniture or blending into a crowd. It's about emotional camouflage. It's about moving through spaces without sparking alarms, about being present without ever being perceived as a threat. It's the subtle nod at the right time, the safe question asked in just the right tone, the posture of harmlessness. They see someone unassuming. They feel comfortable. They trust you. They think you're harmless. They never suspect that the most dangerous person in the room is the one who doesn't look like a threat at all. Your weapon isn't aggression, it's invisibility. You collect intelligence while looking bored. You observe while pretending to be distracted. You appear disengaged while recording every word, every gesture, every micro-expression. They'll hand you their secrets on a silver platter because they've convinced themselves you're not paying attention. But you are, always. Your apparent disinterest becomes their confessional. Your fake indifference extracts their most real information. This is influence at its highest level, impact without exposure. You shape outcomes but maintain absolute plausible deniability. You plant suggestions so subtly they bloom in their mind as if they were self-created. You craft circumstances that funnel naturally toward the results you want. And when everything unfolds exactly as you intended, it doesn't look like manipulation, it looks like coincidence, it looks like destiny. That's the beauty of your design. You are the puppet master pulling invisible strings. The ghosts of the world aren't unseen because they can't be seen. They're unseen because they choose when to be seen. That's the level of control you've reached. You can brighten your presence when you need to influence. You can dim your presence when you need to listen. You can vanish into the background when you need to disappear. Your presence is no longer fixed, it's a dimmer switch. Real power has never been in being noticed. Real power is in controlling when you're noticed, and how. And that person you thought you were, the one who got hurt, who felt overlooked, who believed life was nothing but loss after loss, that was never the real you. That was your cover story, your civilian disguise. So good, so convincing, that even you believed it. But the mission parameters have changed. That cover story has served its purpose. It's time to activate your true programming. It's time to drop the disguise. From now on, you cannot think like a civilian. You must think like an asset. Every conversation isn't small talk, it's intelligence gathering. Every handshake isn't casual, it's a scan for intent. Every person you meet isn't random. They are either a potential ally or a potential threat. Your job is to identify which before they identify you. Your mind has already become a threat assessment computer. Every environment is a tactical zone. That office meeting? Information warfare, where silence speaks louder than words. That family dinner? Psychological reconnaissance, mapping alliances, reading fractures, gathering data cloaked as casual conversation. That coffee with a friend? Counterintelligence disguised as laughter. You're not simply living anymore, you're conducting operations within the ordinary. And no, this isn't paranoia. Paranoia assumes everyone is out to get you. Operational awareness assumes everyone has an agenda, and your task is to discover it before they act. You're not afraid of people. You're strategically cautious. You're not suspicious. You're professionally observant. You don't just hear what's being said. You hear what's being hidden. You don't just see faces, you read confessions written across their eyes, their hands, their posture. This is the transformation. You've evolved from victim to operator, from reactive to proactive, from asking why things always happen to you, to deliberately making things happen through you. Your old identity had its purpose. It taught you how to survive, and you did. But now survival isn't enough. Now you've been upgraded. That old identity? That was the draft version. This new identity? It's the final design. Built to dominate. Built to move unseen. Built to pull strings without leaving fingerprints. Built to turn conversations into blueprints. Silences into weapons. Disappointments into data. The world will still see the same face in the mirror. They'll still assume you're the same. But you will know. You'll know that reflection is no longer a bystander. It's an operator. It's an asset. It's a strategist who understands that every moment of life is a live operation. Every word you speak is a move. Every silence you hold is a strike. Every decision you make is part of the larger mission. And here's the greatest truth of all. You are no longer surviving their game. You are no longer adapting to their rules. You are writing the rules. You are building the board. You are deciding who wins and who loses. You are no longer waiting to be chosen. You've been activated. So, operative, remember this. The loudest in the room will always expose themselves. The most desperate will always reveal their weakness. But the quiet one, the one who listens, the one who waits, the one who never tips their hand, that is the one they never see coming. That is the one who controls the outcome. And that, from this day forward, is who you are. Welcome to your real life, operative. The training wheels are gone. The mask of normalcy you wore to fit in, stripped away. The illusion that people are motivated by love, loyalty, or good intentions, shattered. From this point forward, everything changes. Understand this truth with absolute clarity. The only person you can truly trust is the one who already knows you are dangerous. Why? Because people who believe you are harmless will discard you the moment it benefits them. They will abandon you at the first sign of risk. To them, you are expendable, replaceable, irrelevant. But those who know your strength, those who understand your capabilities and the consequences of betrayal, they hesitate, they calculate, they think twice before crossing you. Fear, operative, creates a more reliable form of loyalty than love ever could. Love fades, fear imprints. Respect your power, or prepare to watch others become casualties of it. From now on, you will no longer view your relationships through the blurry lens of emotions. That luxury belongs to civilians. You will examine them through the precision of tactical assessment. Forget feelings, forget chemistry, forget the illusions of sentimental loyalty. Instead, ask the hard questions. Who would betray you for the right price? Who would protect you without hesitation, without benefit, without conditions? Who sees your potential as something to nurture? Who sees your potential as something to destroy? These questions cut through illusions like a blade, and the answers will determine your survival. Think carefully. Your family members who constantly criticized you, were they really trying to help you, or did they recognize the threat you posed to their comfortable mediocrity? The truth, they feared you. Because your growth would expose their stagnation, your success would shine a light on their failures. So they worked to keep you small, not to guide you, but to protect themselves. What about your so-called friends who held you back? The ones who laughed at your ambition, who discouraged your risks, who advised you to play it safe. They needed you weak. They needed you doubting yourself so they could feel strong in comparison. They needed you caged because your wings reminded them of their chains. And your colleagues, the ones who whispered behind your back, sabotaged your work, undermined your progress. Don't misunderstand. They didn't overlook you. They saw you more clearly than anyone. They recognized your intelligence, your capability, your potential, and that terrified them. They knew that if you were ever unleashed, you'd replace them, surpass them, outshine them. Their hostility wasn't personal. It was strategic. It was self-preservation. Understand this critical truth. Betrayal rarely comes from enemies. It comes from the people closest to you, those who had the most access, the most trust, the most proximity. Enemies you expect, friends and family, they infiltrate. But here is your advantage. You will no longer take betrayal personally. You will not cry over it. You will not waste time asking, "Why me?" You will analyze betrayal as intelligence. Every time it happens, you record the lesson. You adapt the strategy. You evolve. This is why the FBI and every intelligence agency worth its name values individuals like you. Because you understand that loyalty is never emotional. It is always strategic. Real loyalty is born of three things: mutual benefit, shared risk, or calculated fear. Anything else is an illusion. Think about it. Love fades. Emotions shift with time, with mood, with convenience. But strategic alliances endure because they serve both sides. Two wolves hunt together not out of affection but out of survival. Soldiers stand back to back not out of love but out of necessity. True loyalty is built on this cold, sharp reality. From this day forward, you will treat every relationship as part of your operational map. Allies, adversaries, and assets. No blurred lines, no naive trust. Every connection must be categorized. Who strengthens your mission? Who drains your energy? Who feeds your vision? Who poisons it? Your family becomes a case study. The one who always doubted you, asset or liability? Liability. The one who quietly supported you even when it cost them? Potential ally. The friend who betrays you under pressure? Liability. The one who stands beside you without being asked? Asset. The colleague who competes fairly? Rival, but manageable. The colleague who schemes in shadows? Enemy. See the map clearly. Classify it. Operate from it. Trust, operative, is not a gift. It is not charity. It is not a sentimental offering. It is a currency. It is earned, tested, and measured. It is never given freely. It is always rationed. If someone wants your trust, they must pay for it with consistency, sacrifice, and consequence. Anything less is disqualification. Your mission now is simple, but absolute. Recalibrate your vision. Strip away every illusion. Remove every sentimental filter. See people for what they are: assets, allies, adversaries, or liabilities. Every handshake is a negotiation. Every smile is a mask. Every silence is a test. The people who remain in your circle after this recalibration will not be there by accident. They will be there because they serve the mission, and you serve theirs. Welcome, operative, to the next stage of awareness. You are no longer the victim of misplaced trust. You are the architect of alliances. You are no longer hoping for loyalty, you are manufacturing it. You are no longer begging for support, you are commanding it. Your old life taught you how to survive betrayal. Your new life will teach you how to weaponize loyalty. This is your real life now. Operative, you don't just walk among people anymore, you walk among assets and threats. Learn to tell the difference, and you will never lose again. Every relationship is a contract. Allies, enemies, assets, liabilities. Everyone fits a category. Everyone serves a purpose. The question isn't trust, it's predictability. Predictability is more valuable than loyalty. Control is more reliable than love. This briefing never happened, but you'll never see the world the same way again. Every interaction now has layers. Every person has tells. Every situation holds hidden possibilities. What you thought were flaws were actually tactical advantages. What you called weakness was stealth. What you named your dark side was your operational edge. You were never ordinary. You were a weapon disguised as a victim, an operator pretending to be civilian. The FBI doesn't need to recruit you. They just needed to remind you who you've always been. The question isn't if you're ready for psychological warfare. The question is whether it's ready for you. Welcome back, operative. Your real life begins now. Ends. That's all for today. Dear Father, I pray for the growth of my faith. Help me trust you even when physical evidence is lacking. Let me believe in your perpetual presence, knowing you will never harm me. I understand that your thoughts for me are thoughts of prosperity and not harm to give me a good future. Thank you, gracious and eternal Father, for always listening to my voice. I offer up this prayer to you in the name of Jesus. Amen. Thank you, Jesus, for your love and provision. I am grateful for your presence in my life and the abundance you bring. If this video resonated with you, please like, subscribe to the channel, and share it with those who need to hear this message. Leave a comment below about your journey and how you are preparing for your own triumphant return. If you'd like to support our work, please consider contributing through Buy Me a Coffee. This helps us continually improve our content to offer you the best. The link to Buy Me a Coffee is in the description. No gift is too small. Whether it's a penny, a prayer, or a share, your generosity helps spread God's word and brings hope to others. Don't stop here. Watch our next video for powerful revelations about the signs that reveal you are the chosen one. We've enjoyed following this spiritual journey with you. Thank you for staying with us until the end. Keep shining brightly and embrace your destiny with courage. See you next time. Blessings to all the beautiful souls from the Enlighten Wisdom.